Hi everybody, it's Lori Bradley, and we are here in St. Louis, Missouri today for our 31 Projects in 31 Days series. And we are winding down, which is actually kind of sad. Like, it's kind of fun to see you guys every day and hear what you like and to show you new projects, because that's what we do, right? We make projects. So 31 days, today is the 29th, so today is project number 29. And we're going back to Christmas. Yesterday was winter. I think we did a fall this week. I don't even remember. But we are going to go back to winter. And I'm bringing out a bundle that I'm guessing you probably missed. And it is the Bauble Blooms. And it is an online exclusive. And it is very pretty. It is not something that I'm branching out. I'm trying really hard to do that. And so I am... going to show you a fun card that I made with that. I did do a little prep ahead of time. I went ahead, I'm doing some silver embossing with silver embossing powder. I did go ahead and do that so that it's already done, so you didn't have to wait on me. Usually I do that at my kitchen island, and so I didn't have to drag it in here to my table that's already not big enough. So let's get going. Thanks for joining me. All right, so we are going to use the Bauble Blooms, which is this bundle right here, and it's got a pretty little ornament. Let me get my feed fixed here so that my video pops up. Sometimes Facebook does not cooperate very nicely, and sometimes it's really great. You just never know what you're gonna get. All right, so the blooms, the dies are like a little half-size package. They're like a tiny little envelope. They're super cute, but has a really nice stitched ornament outline, two different toppers, like the little hangers, a bow if you would like to stamp your bow and die cut that, and then the inside cuts the floral pieces. I'm not actually going to do that today because once those are cut, you have to pop those up, and I thought that's a little more than a one project kind of day. So I'm going to start with Misty Moonlight. Today's colors are Misty Moonlight and Silver, which I think are beautiful. I'm using Misty Moonlight cardstock. I'm also using the silver foil sheets. I believe these might be on back order right now, but I'm using these because they were not on back order when I designed my project. So there's 2 of those in every sheet, and those are $5. So they're very popular at the holidays because holidays are all about bling, right? All right, so we have our Misty Moonlight card base. We're gonna fold that in half. Okay, so we've got that. Then our next piece, and our next layer is going to be our silver foil. And you know me, if you've been watching, you know I like to conserve the paper, so I cut 2 evergreen branches from the Christmas greenery dies, and we're going to use those on our card along with the ornament topper. And that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a slightly smaller 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock that I have silver embossed the ornament hanger, like the little string, and also Joyous Wishes to You and Yours. And I did that so that I could actually place my other pieces, so I knew where to put those. So I'm going to start by stamping the ornament, and this is a 3-step process, believe it or not. There are 3 different stamps that stamp the ornament. One is kind of the outline, so that's the one we'll start with. And I'll probably have to stand up just so I can see what I've got going here. The ornament is pointy at the bottom, okay? So this piece right here is actually the bottom, all right? That one, and then this one, and this one. You can't fully tell it with all of them, but we're gonna start with the outline one. And I'm gonna stamp that in the Misty Moonlight. And this one actually stamps a little darker. So it actually looks a little darker than the Misty Moonlight, which is totally fine because it gives it a little bit of different characteristic. Okay, so we're gonna stamp that one first. So we've got that. See, it looks a little bit darker for some reason, I think because those leaves are solid. All right, so we've got that one. Now you're probably thinking, well, how am I going to line this up? All right, so these flowers, you see these flowers, they fit into these circles right here. So if we get those circles filled with these flowers, if we line those flowers up where they need to be, then that's a perfect spot. I just have to get over it. And we can turn it and you'll see, hopefully you can see, that the little tiny flowers fall into place as long as you've got those two flowers in their home spot. Okay, right there and right there. All right, so we got those. Then the next piece is kind of the coloring of the flowers. It's the little bit more solid images, but I don't want to do those full strength because I don't want those to be quite as dark. So we're going to ink that again in the Misty Moonlight ink, and I'm going to stamp off on my grid paper so that now we have a lighter shade. And again, if we line up those flower petals right on top and go down, then all of your flowers will be stamped properly. Ta-da, although that one didn't quite stamp. That's very odd. All right, but you know what? We're not going to worry about that because, so then you would take your die, your cute little ornament die, and die cut it, and it fits right into your die cut like that. All right, so then the next thing would be to die cut it, and by the magic of TV, wasn't that Emerald Lagasse? It was like the magic of TV. We have one that already came out of the oven. Wasn't that a cooking show where they did that? Anyway, we have one that I've already stamped and die cut, so we can get going on what we're actually going to do with it. But I just thought that was a fun layered die that was just pretty. So I hope that you enjoy it as well. All right. So I've die cut 2 silver branches and a Night of Navy branch. I wanted it to be a little darker than my Misty Moonlight. And so I'm going to put those. Also, that was another reason why I went ahead and embossed this, because I can kind of lay them on here and see where I want my branches to go. I'm going to do the navy in the middle just so that it gives a contrast between the two. But my ornament, this is kind of a puzzle. We're gonna do the puzzle. My ornament is going to sit right about here. All right. So I'm going to lay the branches where I want them and then pick the whole thing up and flip it over. Now, you know, I have a thing for Scotch tape. So I'm gonna Scotch tape those down here because I moved that one. Let's make sure it's still in a good spot. Let's see. I think we shifted just a little bit. That's okay. All right, it's okay if it goes off the top because we're gonna cut that off because there we go. All right, sometimes it takes a little bit of adjustment. We're gonna cut that off. It won't matter. Once it's taped down, we've got it attached, so it's okay. We're gonna get rid of that excess greenery that's not really green on this card at the top. So we're just gonna cut that. Get my trash bucket. So it's hidden, just like that. Okay, so now we can put that on here with our dimensionals and it will all be good. So we're gonna dimensional that on the front. Actually, let's go ahead and put this together first. I did it on this, so my sample, I started and I did it on the right side, and I decided after it was done that this was too heavy on the right side. I wanted to switch my ornament to this side and then let my branches flow. And then I added an extra branch. So you can tell me which one you like better, but I'm sure I know the answer to that. So after I got it all done, I thought, oh, this is not the way I want it. So I just flipped it over. and did that. Okay. And I actually had one of my die cut ornaments ready, so I knew how far over to do that as well. Okay, now we can put our ornament on. I'm gonna use the big dimensionals just so we have quite a few. Make sure I've got several. Okay, I don't normally use that many, but since that's so thick with those 3 branches, we want to make sure that our ornament stays on there. Oh, Kathy, this is a good one. And am I right? You probably didn't notice it on the online exclusives. I tend to gravitate toward those just because. All right, let's go ahead and attach this as well. But yeah, those are the ones that I like to show because they're so intriguing, and sometimes the online exclusives are actually my favorite ones. Okay, now we can attach our ornament. And put it right there. Now, I have the ornament topper right here, and I'm going to glue that right onto the top. I actually prefer, yeah, let's use regular adhesive because there's tiny little holes in these, and that makes me so nervous that my glue will like leak out onto my fingers and everybody else's fingers and get stuck. So I'm just gonna put some adhesive on there and then attach it. I probably should have done that before I attached it to the card, but here we are. All right, now, last piece, I'm gonna pull out the silver edged Misty Moonlight ribbon. And we're gonna just make a tiny little bow to go on the top. Doesn't have to be big and honking, and we just need a tiny little bow. But that silver blends in, ties all that together. So the bow, the topper, or the hanger, I guess it's a hanger, not a topper, and the silver foil and the silver embossing all, you know, we're going classy today. You all know I prefer cute, but I'm trying. And then we'll just make a little bow. Hello, Monica. Thanks for watching. All right, so once I've got my bow how I want it, which probably will be never, but we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna attach that right at the top of there with a glue dot. And I kept pulling, so I'm gonna have to trim that a little bit more. Okay, got my glue dot on the back of my knot. Can attach that right there so you can see the top of the hanger, or you can put it all the way down on your ornament. It doesn't necessarily matter. There we go. And then you could also add some rhinestones if you wanted to. You could add, we don't really have any silver. Actually, we do have some silver sequins, but I think that it's pretty as is. And then I have, where's my other stamp set? Right here. Over here. Kind of hid it. So it says joyous wishes. So I'm going to use from the words of the season, may your holiday season be filled with joy and happiness. And I wet my cleaner. So I need to make sure. I think I used black with that last time, so I don't want to do that. All right, we'll stamp, may your holiday season be filled with joy and happiness. Hopefully, woohoo! I got it straight and I wasn't over the top of it. I'm getting better at stamping from behind things. So if nothing else comes out of this 31 days, then I can stamp not directly over things. All right, so there is our Joyous Wishes ornament. All right, so here's my original sample, the things we learn after we start doing it, right? That it needed a little bit more contrast here. And then I put that there and I scooted it over so everything wasn't heavy on that one side. It was a little bit more even. So there we have it. There is today's card. Project number 29 is the Bauble Blooms. Sorry, Bright was yesterday. Bauble Blooms, and it's an online exclusive, but it's really, really fun. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me at lunchtime today. Tomorrow is Thursday, and I'll be live at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And on Friday, which is Halloween, I will be on early. I'll be 10 a.m. Because we have a parent-teacher conference in the afternoon and football playoffs in the evening. So Halloween is kind of a non-event at our house this year. So anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.